Hello guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Chapter 3: Decisions that affect us all and the doctor's last wish. A boy with sky blue hair was meditating in his quarters, Rimuru Tempest. The Demon King, ruler of the Jura Tempest Federation, was meditating while the full moon illuminated the room. He was quietly standing near the window, admiring the cityscape. In his mind echoed the memories of his little slimes, for there was a time in the past where Shalsha and Falfa, the two little ones he adored and spoiled as his daughters, asked him for permission to visit their world for a moment. As he could not say no to the girls, he promised them that he would as long as their mother approved. It wasn't long before it was decided that they would spend a family vacation in their world. Azusa was initially a little worried, as she had never visited that world before, and the way Rimuru told her about his adventures, she was worried that something bad would happen. However, everything went smoothly. The girls gradually got to know the people close to Rimuru. Everyone in town looked at the girls with tenderness, for the entire population could feel their lord's blessing on her, except for one situation. Azusa, the beautiful immortal witch, the one who accompanied the girls, alerted all the suitors that Rimuru had, since all of them looked at them with some suspicion. For before Thyrise was the mother of the daughters of her master, they were all somewhat resentful of such a situation, except for one person, or in this case, one conscience. Seal, Rimuru's self-proclaimed wife, never objected to them having a relationship, for, although she never told her master, she knew perfectly well that Azusa and Rimuru came from the same world. For some strange reason he could see Azusa's life in her old world. He saw how she, as well as Rimuru, were so focused on their work that they stopped relating to their friends, so intuitively he knew he could trust her. Plus, there was the fact that due to one of Azusa's abilities, sharing her happiness with others went hand in hand with the ideals that Rimuru touted about peace and wanting to help others. That night, just as the girls fell asleep, both Rimuru and Azusa took them to their room. After that, Rimuru asked Azusa to follow him, which she did. And they arrived at the main room of the palace. The girls' nerves were quickly showing. "Hey, Azusa. Tell me, what do you think of me? You look very nervous." The girl couldn't speak because of her nerves, for even though on the outside Rimuru looked like a sweet teenage girl, and because of her exterior, it was easier for her to sustain a friendship, inside she knew exactly that her soul was that of a man. "Do I make you nervous?" he said. "No. Well, something. You see, it was very easy for me to make a friendship with girls, because I got used to it," she explained. She could not tell him that although she lived many years with her family, she never had an approach with any man. It might sound a little strange for a pretty girl, because that would give the wrong idea about her. "So, are you?" Rimuru spoke without thinking. "No, of course not. I don't have those tastes," she replied somewhat nervously. "It's just that I never had the need to." "Well," she said somewhat nervously. He just closed his eyes and gave a small sigh. It was very hard for her to say, because she couldn't tell him that before she reincarnated as an immortal witch she had a life as a corporate employee, which deprived her of those moments. She put aside her desires to make friends or have a relationship with someone special, to focus 100% on her work. Even Seal, inside Rimuru's consciousness, could see the girl's nerves. Rimuru, a bit worried, asked Seal what he could do to make her calmer, but she answered with, "Don't depend on me for this kind of situation. You are a man. Find your own way not to make Azusa uncomfortable." Due to several previous situations, Rimuru sensed that Seal was upset, but what Seal really wanted was for him to make an effort on his own for this peculiar situation, as he could never see Rimuru in such a situation. Suddenly, the knock on his door brought him out of his trance. It was Benimaru, one of the most devoted and loyal servants to Rimuru, was making his entrance. The leader and highest military rank of the entire nation was presenting himself on his knees before his lord. "Sir, I know that today is the day, the anniversary of the atrocious events that happened, and," he was saying, But Rimuru stopped him in his tracks, and remembering the words he heard from what he believed to be Pecora's spirit, he ordered, Benimaru, gather a group of the best men we have at our disposal. If we don't find the answer here, we will find it on another world. And so, with a little hunch, hope in someone else's idea, a nation was declaring to invade other worlds to find the answer Rimuru couldn't get on his world. Are you sure about that? My lord, the young man pointed out, driven by seeing that memory in his mind, wanting to make it up to Azusa. To bring back the girls and his beloved secretary, Rimuru set out to invade as many worlds as necessary in order to achieve his goal. The most powerful demon king of all had just declared war on all existence itself until he found the definitive answer to his situation. Of course, he said, driven by the desire to make amends to his fallen subordinates, his beloved daughters, and the once his special girl. Rimuru declared war against existence itself. Sir, don't you think that's a bit too drastic? I mean, invading worlds, they would see it as a threat. In this world you are the strongest, I know that. But we don't know what the other worlds are like. Maybe, Benimaru pointed out somewhat fearfully, but then stopped talking when he saw that his master was still looking outside the window with a hopeful look on his face. Benimaru, I became a demon king to save all those who lost their lives. Because of the Falmouth kingdom, I became a demon king to help them if I have to become a conqueror of worlds, as long as I find a way to bring happiness to Azusa and the other people who lost someone in our nation, so be it. Right in a beautiful and cozy house, located where a crystal-clear waterfall feeds a precious spring. Azusa, the immortal witch, was with the one in this world she called her mother, Ufufu, a minor water spirit. After meeting Rimuru after many years and arguing with him, Azusa went to find her adoptive mother so she could be with someone. Although part of her hated Rimuru for what happened, the other part knew that what happened was not intended to harm her or her daughters, but the loss of her two little girls was something she could never get over. Remembering the moments they lived as a family was her only relief. You saw him, and you fought with him again, didn't you? Pointed out the mother to her daughter, somewhat worried. Yes, she said, somewhat downcast, for in her mind were the memories of that night in which they visited the Rimuru world, the night in which for the first time she had more than just a few simple talks with a man. For when that fateful night fell, the two, immortal witch and demon king, had left everything for a moment to be together. For one night there was nothing else in the world, just the two of them, a night where the two were carried away by an impulse that both had been keeping since the moment they began to have a close relationship. For one night, just for one night, they had been united as one. And even so, many years have passed and you still hold a grudge, said her mother, a little worried, and then she hugged her and continued, and don't you think he has also been suffering all this time? He tried desperately to find a way to make amends for what happened. Besides, it wasn't only the girls that something like that happened to them. Or am I mistaken? Many people in his world lived through something similar. Don't you think it's time to put the past behind us? I know, Mom, I know, but I still can't look him in the face. Just remembering his face, I remember the pain of losing my daughters. Azusa said, worried. Others may think that she hated Rimuru for what happened. Maybe part of that is somewhat true, but there is also the fact that seeing Rimuru reminded her of the moments the four of them lived as a family. They had come so far that they practically appeared as one when they traveled, visiting various places around the world. Azusa, I'm not the goddess of love or anything like that. But I will tell you this, I have lived long enough to realize something. Human relationships are a bit complex, but most of the time humans don't fix their problems because one of them keeps a feeling they don't express. Feelings are what makes them human. They can be their strength, or also their biggest weakness. And right now, honey, they are being their biggest weakness. She said seriously while she kept hugging her. Do you mean that my love for my daughters is my weakness and that's why I have not been able to forgive Rimuru? She questioned. No, it's not like that, my dear girl. Love for your daughters was your greatest strength. Love for your loved ones is your greatest strength, but your greatest weakness is that you are not honest with yourself. Part of you resents Rimuru for what happened, but also part of you wants to be with him. Part of you wants to apologize to him and close that circle of pain. You both have, replied the mother. That was true. Azusa had been tormented by memories of her past. There was a time when she was with Rimuru, and that was a happy time for her. But that time existed only in her memory now. She not only hated the fact that she could not save her daughters, she hated the fact that she felt anger with Rimuru. After the talk with her mother, she understood that even though her love for Rimuru ended that way, she could still be her friend and support him in some way. Days went by and Azusa was trying to get up the courage to talk to Rimuru. She was about to open a portal to travel to Rimuru's world, when at the door of the house she heard an incessant knocking. It was the goddess Beautiful and Pious, the deity who revived Azusa in her world and blessed her with her divine essence. Azusa, we have a very big problem, she said, then began to explain. Rimuru's determination had begun to affect several worlds. Rimuru, along with 6 of her retinue, Benimaru, Diablo, Testarossa, Ultima, Carrera and Zijin had begun to conquer several worlds. In a matter of days, 12 of the several worlds had already been conquered and 3 had been reduced to ashes. Apparently, according to what several spirits said, he is desperately looking for the answer to what happened to your daughters, said the deity present. Hearing that, Azusa, the immortal witch, could feel nothing but anger with herself. Unintentionally, her attitude towards him had driven Rimuru to commit terrible and disastrous acts in order to find an answer to what happened. Iris, isn't it true? The mother said worriedly. Of course I will. It's like you said, he has suffered too, and I won't let him involve anyone else with his suffering. It's my responsibility to stop him, mentioned Azusa. Thus, the immortal witch decided to take action. The lives of countless people hung in a delicate and tenuous thread. Slash 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 slash. Sir, we detected a last incursion. It's a retinue of 20 invaders. They came to the world of the average girl, pointed out a small red-haired girl with long hair. It was Monica, the current keeper of the Babylon fortress. Then they started to raid. Conquering 12 worlds in a short time is something amazing. As long as life goes on there is no problem, but I think destroying 3 is something very worrying. The sword goddess said she would go investigate the one responsible. Tuya pointed out as he sat in the seat that once belonged to Dr. Babylon. Shall we proceed to act? Monica mentioned. No. Mile has the ability to defeat a few. Besides, she is Moroha's disciple. I think she will be able to handle them, mentioned Tuya seriously. Being back in action, he remembered the last time he saw Dr. Babylon. Shortly after Lean left this world, Dr. Babylon asked to speak with Tuya in private. After that, the doctor spoke. For a moment he thought that the doctor would ask her to be his mate, as she always insisted that he accept her as a lover, but that never happened. Tuya thought that because he was already alone, the doctor would ask him to reconsider that, so he was mentally preparing himself to refuse. But what he heard was something that depressed him greatly. Tuya, I want to ask you a favor, he said to her, then explained. His mind, just like his wives, was starting to deteriorate. For a moment Tuya doubted it was true, for part of the doctor's body was enhanced. But he was partly right. Her body had been enhanced to preserve her longevity, and her mind was in the synthetic body, so she was supposed to be able to preserve her mind permanently. Besides, that the gynoids didn't seem to have had any equal problems. Tuya, my brain is being protected, that's true, but it's still a human brain. It resisted a lot, that I must admit, but not enough. After that I explained to him that the gynoids were blessed just like the whole fortress as a sacred treasure. At least that was what Karen explained to Regina. So the floating fortress like the gynoids were now a sacred treasure, just like her smartphone. The doctor's mind lost all memories of her early years. She realized it when she was talking to the gynoids about various inventions she didn't remember making. She even didn't remember even when she met Tuya the first time. She just felt that for her he was someone special. After hearing the story of how they met Tuya, she slowly began to feel sympathy and admiration for him again. But she realized that she could never have a relationship beyond friendship. So she asked him to at least let her spend one night with him, not as a couple, but as friends or siblings. Hearing that he understood what she wanted, so he agreed. For one night the two of them slept in each other's arms. There were no ulterior motives, no incitement. Just for one night the two of them simply slept together. After finishing that night, the doctor turned off all her senses, and so the creator and last of the gynoids, Regina Babylon, had left this world.